Good evening, everyone. We are live from lockdown. Do not adjust your TV screens. You're right, I have dyed my hair blonde. We'll get into that later. This is what happens when you're locked in. So we're on show 13. I'd never ever thought when I started that we'd be here. And I'll admit, this one could go one way or the other because I have been drinking beer all day because I've been playing FIFA with the guys on the stream earlier on Gashead Steve's. So that little pile there is what I've been drinking. So my hosting skills may not be what they are normally. So I'm going to rely on the two guys that I've got on this evening to carry this one through. So without further ado, hello to everyone in the comments, by the way. Pixel Plug. What? Gamer World Gez. That's like the 5th time you've changed your fucking name since I've done this stream. Gernaldinho, Rob Foot. Say hello to my first guest, and that's Mr. Pete Armour.
Hello,
Pete.
How are you doing,
mate? Right. I'm
Very
good,
well.
man. I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, surviving. You know,
Surviving.
Yeah.
So tell everyone who you are. Just if there's anyone in the comments who don't know who you are, I'd be very surprised.
So my name's Pete. Channel's called Onaretrotip, and it's just looking at retro stuff and a bit of collecting and a bit of this, that, and the other.
Did you used to be known as One Trip Pete?
One Trip Pete. Yeah, I had to change my name.
I thought it was One Trip Pete.
Funnily enough, yeah, I get called all sorts actually. Because like my channel name's all together, people just call me all sorts. Yeah.
One Trip Pete is my favourite. Retro Chef says the YouTube star piece. He's doing some serious level of brown nose in there, I think.
Love you, Lee. Love you, Lee. The check's in the post, mate. Cheers.
He must be sending out some checks, I tell you, because the comments he puts in here, he'll be sitting. So, of course, as always, I have two guests, so I'll bring you my second one, and that is Mr. Nintendo Arcade. Alex, say hello.
How you doing, guys? How you doing, right?
I'm good. Introduce yourself. Tell everyone a little bit about your channel.
Nintendo Arcade, mainly arcade and Nintendo stuff, although I have ventured out into Vectrex and BBC Micro and cake eating over the years, so yeah. That's basically it.
We'll be getting onto your little venture into live streaming as well. We'll get onto that in a bit.
Yeah.
So you're both on live from lockdown. It's the most popular show amongst all 10 of the people who watch. How have you been coping with lockdown, Pete? We'll start with you. I know you're still working, but how has it changed how you live your daily life?
Well, I haven't been coping very well. Let's be honest. Like I've got a really short attention span, and like I normally do like 2 things at once to keep me occupied, and just trying to find one thing to do at a time at the moment is really hard. And I've been working from home, but it's pretty quiet, and trying to do the odd bit of video stuff, but then you just get burnt out on that and play some games and read, and it's just never enough to sort of fill the time. And I've been having naps just because it's something to do, you know. Like today I just had like a 3-hour nap on the sofa because there was fuck all else to do. So
I'm laughing because while you went to have your tea earlier, Alex was telling me about how he'd gone for a nap today. But the funny thing is because I'm not working. When I usually work, I come home from work, have a nap, and then do something in the evening. Because I'm not working, I can't have my nap. In fact, I'm hardly getting any sleep because I'm not tired at all. But I get what you say, man. It is hard to keep yourself occupied. You need to get involved with FIFA and doing a bit of gaming with us. You know, you don't have to be good. We let Big Game Al play, and he's terrible. So how about you, Alex? How have you been coping with the old COVID-19? How has it affected you?
Well, my work's just ground to a halt because I'm a builder.
You're a tradie like me, yeah. I'm a plasterer.
Yeah, so I could quite easily work. In fact, I might have some work next week because I can quite easily work on my own. But the trouble I'm finding is all the builders merchants have closed.
That's the problem. I was driving around for 2 hours to get one plasterboard 3 weeks ago and gave up. I just thought, you know what, it's not worth it.
Some are delivering, and that's what I've managed to do for next week, get a big delivery of stuff. I've got to go back into London. I'm a bit further out of London now. I'm in Oxfordshire, so I've got an hour's journey into London, and I'm quite happy. I can work in someone's garden and just be completely on my own, isolated. And if I can do that, I think the government actually, doesn't mind if you can do that. If you can work isolated on your own, then I don't see the problem with that. You're probably more likely to get it in the supermarket, you know, than doing what I'm doing. But yeah, other than that, I've been busy at home. There's all stuff to do, but again, it's always, I don't want to spend the money because it's like you don't know how long the money's going to last you. You know, I need some. It's like I bought that millipede arcade machine. I want to put some artwork on that, but I need a heat gun. And I thought, should I spend the money on a heat gun? I don't know. You know, should I wait a bit? I thought I'll wait until I've got my week's work out of the way. Then I might just buy a few bits, and then I've got a bit more stuff to do. But man, I'm happy at home. I enjoy being at home because I'm outside all the time. I work outside. When I'm at home at the weekend, I enjoy it. You know, I've got all this amazing stuff around me that I've collected over the years, and I'm enjoying it. You know, so I don't mind. But I can understand why it is difficult for some people.
I agree. And as there's a saying in the trade, isn't there? When you've got the time, you've not got the money, and when you've got the money, you've not got the time.
Exactly.
The kind of thing when you're a tradie, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
You were saying you'd read some people moaning about people cutting their lawns, how dangerous that were. I'm going to agree with them because mine needs doing tomorrow, so I don't think I should do it. So you both have been involved with YouTube quite a time, so I think we'll start with the YouTube story mixed up rather than the gaming one. So starting with Pete, I think you died a year or two before I did, and then I fucking had a massive break, but neither here nor there. So just because your channel has really blown up and grown since when you first started, so your whole YouTube story and where it's gone, that'd be a great way to start if you wouldn't
mind. So I started like this. It would have been start of 2015, so just over 5 years ago, and I've been collecting for quite a few years by then, and it was like a progression of the collecting in a way that I started off buying like, you know, I'll buy a Mega Drive because I had a Mega Drive, and I'll buy the games I had as a kid. And then, I had a Game Gear and I had a Game Boy. And then you keep buying stuff. And then you're like, you know, you go right down the rabbit hole and you're looking at like, you know, stuff that you never had and all this. And that kind of takes you to watching YouTube because you're like, what are the good, you know, PC Engine games? I never had one. And you start looking at stuff. And then inevitably I found that there was this like, you know, quite big scene in the UK. And it's funny because like whenever people tell this story of how they started YouTube, they always mention the big American ones like that angry video game nerd. I never heard of him until like a few years, like probably 3 years ago, well into making videos I was by then. And I'm like, I've never heard of the guy, you know, and a couple of the other sort of big ones, I never heard of them. It's all the small UK channels I watched. And I watched them for a bit and then I just thought, I've got to get in on this. So I had, you know, like a really crappy little 720 camera or whatever, like not a camcorder, like one for taking pictures. And yeah, I just started like showing pickups and stuff and this, that, and the other. And then obviously met people like, I think it was only about 4 months into doing YouTube and I went to Blackpool and I was really nervous because I was kind of like, you know, it would be nice to meet people, but am I going to be an outsider or am I going to be welcomed? You don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really like nervous about social situations or anything, but it was just more that it was like a close knit thing. And am I going to be, you know, all right? But it was totally like everybody was so welcoming and nice. And then after that, it was just, I just loved doing the whole YouTube community thing. And I love making videos and like, I've got a really addictive personality, hence the collecting. And kind of making videos kind of became an addiction as well. Like I enjoyed doing the videos so much that I kind of really appreciate having that now. And it's kind of a creative outlet that was really missing. And I didn't realize it was missing until I started doing it. You know what I mean? Because I didn't really have any hobbies in my 20s apart from getting high. And I didn't really think about that until I'd stopped doing it. And I realized I don't have any hobbies. I need to fill my time. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's how I sort of started on YouTube, basically.
So where we'll go on to Alex, how he started, and then we'll go to how you, because both your channels are much bigger than mine and they've got a certain audience. So we'll go on to that next. Alex, how did you start in the old tubes realm?
It started about 7 or 8 years ago now. I think I've been on YouTube when I started acquiring some quite rare arcade machines, and I started researching a lot of the early Nintendo stuff and realized there wasn't any information out there on the stuff that I was trying to acquire. So when I did finally get the games I wanted, I did some videos on them and just got a lot of interest, like from the whole arcade community, as well as, you know, new people I'd never even met before, you know, and I just found there's a whole new community out there. And for me, it's always been about documenting some of the stuff that I've got. I mean, I know still to this day, like the Sheriff stuff and the early Nintendo stuff, my videos are the only ones out there still of that stuff. So I think it's really important to document that, because it's not in a museum, you know, but people can still see it and they can still remember it. Just by, I get so many people from all around the world just going, oh, I remember playing that back in the day. And that really warms my heart. You know, it's like when I go to Revival and I take the machines out and people walk in there and I go, God, I remember that, you know. And for me, I have that same feeling. Whenever I go into an arcade and I see a game, it's like so many fond memories of me playing that back in the day as a kid. And so from that, the arcade stuff stemmed, you know, the console stuff, which I've been collecting since I was 8, since 1981. I've still got all my Sinclair Spectrum games, all my original ones that I paid for with my paper round money. So I started doing videos on those, and then before you know it, you're down a rabbit hole of, wow, this community's big, but the gaming, there's just so much out there. And it's also, it's like you said, Pete, it's like you're constantly discovering new games all the time. And it's like music, you know. In the 80s and 90s, you were so into a particular scene, like you were either a punk or you're a new romantic or you were a goth, and you only listened to that music. And so it's like me with I only played Spectrum games. I wouldn't play Commodore 64, that's shit. So you totally bypassed a whole load of games that actually, if you were more open-minded, you could have, you know, opened your horizons to new games you never even knew existed. And it's the same with music. You know, I'm going back listening to old music that I totally bypassed back in the day because I was so naive to think I'm too good for that, or, you know, that's not my clan. Do you know what I mean? So I'm constantly discovering new games, and I think it's just nice. I mean, I know there's so many people on YouTube doing it now, but I'm not interested in getting any bigger than what I am. I mean, it's always been about the community for me anyway. I do it because I enjoy doing it, you know. And if I've got like 100 mates, 100 subscribers, that would do me. But to be honest with you, it's only really because of the Sky Skipper project, I think a lot of people jumped on board. I don't know whether they're still watching it, probably not. You know, my videos are not that professional. I don't really care. I don't have a script or anything, but it is what it is, you know, and it's my channel. And if people like it, then I'll carry on doing it, you know. But I mean, I enjoy it, doing it. I love doing it. It's a great hobby, and there's a great community of people out there. You know, there really is.
What I will say about you both, I can feel passion from both your videos that you do, obviously in different ways. Like Alex, like when you do something with arcade, you can see that passion. But what I will say is you've got a lovely little Vectrex there, and we all three of us own a Vectrex, and there's that itself is its own little sub community within the game community. And like obviously, Alex, with you with UK VAC, that's another little. You seem to be involved in lots of different little sub communities within the community. But what I would say is they're all very inviting, and you can learn so much. Like I've joined obviously the Facebook group to get me extra bits for me Vectrex and that, and everyone in there is just so nice and so important. It's been, and Pete, one of my favorite videos, just really shows your passion. And I think I've mentioned this to you. It's probably one of your lowest views videos. It's why I hate sub for subs, and I think it shows your humor so superbly. I think it's personally one of your best bits of work, and it's one of my favorite videos. That is.
Thanks. That's like the only video I've ever done where I myself, I'll go back and watch it every now and again. Do you know what I mean?
Which one was that, Pete?
It's called I Hate Sub for Sub, and it's about all these fucking spammy comments about I'll sub me and I'll sub you back and all that.
Tom, who's in constantly everyone's comments at the moment, that bot who's
yeah. Keep up the good work or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Great video. Love your content.
Yeah. Fuck off.
Yeah.
So Pete, Alex spoke. Obviously, Sky Skipper was the one that probably helped your channel gain the following. Your channels just seem to have gone strength for strength. Where do you think that's come from, Pete? 'Cause I know you do a variety of videos. Like obviously, you do your top 10s and stuff like that.
I don't know really. It'd be nice to know the secret to the algorithm or whatever, but you know, I don't know. I mean, I did have a big sort of jump. I think I was around 500, and I had a DOS video, which is terrible. It's probably my worst video I've ever made, because it was like the early days of when I was sort of doing less pickups, and I wanted to do some of that kind of like the stuff I do more of now, you know, like doing a script and doing the voiceover and all that. So it was the early days of that, and I thought, Peter's a Dreamcast guy. Yeah.
I think he got you mixed up with, was it Lee C, who used to do all the Dreamcast stuff? He's not around anymore. Brian, I think he's definitely got you mixed up with his channel, because he was doing like a Dreamcast book and everything years ago. That was when I first started, and I think he's got, because I can see where he's coming from.
Well, when I met Tony, around that time I was doing my full Dreamcast set, and I was doing a lot of episodes on that and like the journey to getting the full set and everything. So yeah, I probably was doing quite a bit of Dreamcast stuff back then. But yeah, this DOS video, it's terrible, but it got like 800 and something thousand views, and I got a little jump. I probably went from like 500 to 2000. But then since then, I don't know, it just kind of creeps up, and there's the occasional little jump, but I don't know. Like, there's no point in worrying about all that stuff, because like I do see a lot of the bigger sort of career YouTubers, they really put stock in that. Like, oh, okay, this video's done really well, I'm going to make another load of videos like that, or a series like that. And like, that's all fine if you enjoy that. But for me, it's like, okay, I'm going to do stuff I enjoy. And like some series I've started, I didn't really enjoy, or they took too much time. And I
think there was a period in your channel where you were probably doing stuff that you probably weren't as into, but you seem to have come back to where you're doing stuff where you're more into it again, and you can tell in your videos with that sort of thing.
Yeah, you got to be careful not to fall into that trap sometimes of, you just got to do it for yourself. Like, that's why we're here at the end of the day. Like, there's no money in this. The only reason we're all here is because we enjoy doing it. So if you're not enjoying doing that video, don't fucking do it. You know, that's simple as that. And then if some of them do well and you get a few subs or whatever, that's great. But who cares? Like Alex said, if he'd be happy with 100 subs, and I genuinely mean that I would as well, because when I started my channel, I thought, wow, imagine getting 100 subs, and that was my dream. And when I hit 100 subs, it was like the best feeling. You know, you hit 10,000 subs, guarantee you that is not as good a feeling as that first 100. And
oh God, I always used to be surprised that anyone watched any of my videos ever when I first started.
Same. I was like, I can't believe 100 people are watching this shit, you know. And yeah, just times that by a few more, and I still say the same now. But yeah, I mean, it's all gravy after that, isn't it? Like, we did what we wanted to do, get involved in the community. We've met some amazing friends like you guys, load of people in the comments who I consider good friends. You know, it's great.
Rob, who's commented, Gernaldino, you've actually met him, and I have myself.
Yeah.
He remembers the In the House series. Is there any chance of you bringing that back, you reckon? Obviously not at the moment. Don't get fucking coming to my house now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not that it's gone away even. It's just that, like, it's tricky to actually organize and everything. And quite often I'll film a few of them at a time and sort of travel around and try and knock out a few at a time. But yeah, I've got loads of people on the list that I want to do and who are keen to do it. So it will be back soon, I hope. Awesome.
We've got Raz mentioning some stuff as well. So I think it'd be a good time, because I know you want to tell us the toaster story.
I do.
We've had several incarnations of this toaster story and the cup of tea story. Yours is the only opinion I think is valid, Pete. So please tell me the toaster story.
Right. So So as Raz is saying in the comments, so I did one at his place in Sweden. So yeah, we did an In the House episode in Sweden because myself and Tim Bad Fuck Up UK and Adam Shock 16, we went out to stay with Raz for the weekend because they have this show called Retrospelsmässan, which is like a gaming market thing. Which I think it literally means retro gaming market. That word, yeah. Yeah, we went out there. We stayed with Raz. Raz, as everybody knows, likes to have a few jars, and we went out one night, and Raz just was so fucked, and we're like, right, let's get in a taxi. And we got in a taxi home, and I remember when we got out the taxi, Raz was like, oh, here we go. And he'd got us out the taxi like a mile from his house. So we then had to walk like a mile for no reason. Right. So we get back to his house and me and Adam were in the lounge and Raz disappears off into the kitchen. And then suddenly all the power in the house goes off. So it's completely pitch black. And we're shouting, Raz, what you done? What you done? And he's like, what's happening? What's happening? He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. So we turned the torches on our phones and we were saying, where's your fuse box? And Raz goes, we don't have fuse boxes in Sweden. I said, you do, mate. You really do. Like, you must have a fuse box in this flat somewhere. He goes, no, we don't have them, mate. So then we start describing what a fuse box looks like and everything and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, eventually, of our own accord, we found it and we flipped it back on and all the lights came back on. And yeah, we were like, what were you doing when all the lights went off? And he goes, I was making toast. And we just think for a second and I go, Raz, did you stick a knife in the toaster? And he goes, yeah. And I go, you can't do that, mate. And he goes, we do it all the time in Sweden. And he acted like it was no big deal at all. I'm like, mate, you could fucking kill yourself. Fucking lunatic.
Fucking hell. He'd be like a shocked little hamster, wouldn't he, Raz, if that fucking voltage had gone through him? He'd be like... I've got a lot of time for Raz, but he's not the sanest human being I've ever met.
Yeah, he's great, though. He's great.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Fantastic Switch collection.
Oh, God, yeah, him. And have you seen his mate's collection as well that he had on his channel?
Yeah.
And he showed his mate's room. Oh, man, it was beautiful. It's more tidier than yours, Raz. Don't get your fucking mate on your channel.
Yeah,
when he's got a bear collection. Yeah. So, Alex, I want to talk a little bit about your venture into live streaming on YouTube because I had a little laugh at that when you knocked the lamp over, and then my heart sunk a little bit when it wouldn't start up. So, how did you find it? And are you going to be able to fix the arcade and get it working? I know you've posted a little bit on Facebook, but I haven't read the comments to not spoil it for myself.
Yeah, so I did the live video. I've done live videos before, but it's been a little bit more like this, where I'm reading the comments, and I'm a little bit more at home with that because I'm communicating. But doing a live video on a machine, a prototype, and not knowing whether it's going to work or not it was nerve-wracking. I won't lie, it was nerve-wracking for me, and I think you can probably see it in the video. Yeah, God. It's just going back to YouTube and why we do this. If you're passionate about what you do, YouTube can open so many doors for you. It's unbelievable. I mean, let's take, for example, Skyskipper, and I will come back to that live video in a minute. I wouldn't have got anywhere with that Skyskipper project without me documenting that Skyskipper PCB on my channel, because Nintendo, when we got invited into their headquarters, wanted to know that the fact that those boards that I had were original, because they weren't interested otherwise. So they watched my YouTube videos. So we got vetted to get in to scan that Skyskipper machine, the only one left in the world. And then, you know, through YouTube, I've met Whitney, I met Billy Mitchell, and all these people is absolutely incredible. And then we come to this live stream that I did the other night. The only way I acquired that game was through YouTube. So I did a YouTube video on Rescue, a game that I used to play as a teenager in my local arcade in the mid to late 80s. because I was passionate about the game. I loved the game. The only other videos of the game were people playing it on MAME. And there's me standing in front of a camera, this old jammer cab playing this original PCB. And then guess what? A family member of Chris Oberth, who designed the game, contacts me in the comments. He says, I've got a prototype of Rescue. Would you be interested? And I'm like, jaw dropped, like, yeah, cool. Of course I would be, but I didn't believe it. So I sent him my email and then just sent me a load of pictures, and I got carried away with it all. I got so carried away. I was so excited. I was like, yeah, all I can offer you is this, right? So I offered him a lump sum of money, and he agreed. And then it went back to his Chris's widow, because Chris Oberth passed away now for 8 years, and she wanted more money for it. And I can totally understand that. You don't know what their situation is. If they want more money, fine. So suddenly was out of the picture. He said, we're going to put it on eBay. So he put it on eBay. And I said, can you send me a link to it at least? So it went on eBay in California, and no one else bid on it except me. In the last hour, I put a bid on it for the same amount of money that I offered him in the beginning, right? So then I win it, and I'm thinking, you've lost out there. If you just accepted what I gave you in the beginning, you wouldn't have had to pay all the eBay fees.
Yeah, I was going to say they've lost out because they've got all the fees to pay. If they'd have just dealt with you straight away, they could have got a better deal.
But me getting all overexcited about it, I forgot to ask him, does it work still? And now, if you look at the eBay, you can still go on eBay, and if you search Rescue Arcade Machine, you'll probably still find it. It says, last time I switched it on, it was working. I got overexcited and just got, I want it, I just want it, and it turned up, and as you saw in the live stream the other night, it didn't work. And after inspection, an hour later after I did the stream, I looked in the back, and the monitor's got a big crack in the tube, which basically means all the vacuum's gone, and there's no way that tube's going to work. No matter what you do to it, you cannot fix that tube because the vacuum's gone. So I've got to find a replacement tube, which is a real shame because that is part of the cab. It is not the heart of the cabinet, but it's the lungs of the cabinet. It's what you see. Do you know what I mean? It's part of the whole package, if you like. And that was really disappointing. I was absolutely gutted. I really was. And then I just kind of thought to myself, that must have got damaged in transit. But then when I go back and look at the messages, I never thought to ask, was it working? Is it still fucking working? I never asked. Do you know what I mean? I was just so caught up. This is a prototype from Chris Oberth, the developer. I've got to have it. I've just got to have it. And I'm being offered it, And we've all done it though, man. We've all done it. Seen something really rare at a good price and just gone, I want it, Yeah. And then realizing actually I should have just been a little bit more cautious. And because I could have knocked a couple of £100 off him, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe.
But the thing is if you'd have been a bit more cautious out, it only took one other person to come in and offer something else, and then you never have the cab or anything at all.
Exactly.
It's better to have 90% of it and something not working than have nothing at all.
Yeah,
because you'll never get one again.
Exactly. It could have gone the other way, right? Because then I went on Clov, which is like the American equivalent of UK VAC. It's a big American arcade site, a forum where everyone chats about what's on eBay, a bit like Retro Realm, but for arcades, right? And they're all gone, how did everyone miss this? The prototype from Chris Oberth, who won it? The same old shit you get with video games on Retro Realm, but with arcades. And I just stayed silent. I just thought, I'm not going to say anything until this machine is in my hands, So yeah, I'm really chuffed that I've got it, because it is a game that I have really fond memories of, and it is really obscure, and it is a really good game. And to have the prototype in my collection, man, I'm blown away. And that I've got YouTube to thank for that. YouTube to thank for that.
And no doubt it'll be either YouTube or Facebook. Enough people, you'll be getting that working pretty soon.
Oh, I will do. I've already got a lead on an equivalent monitor. It's in Cornwall. I'm in no rush to get it, but yeah, there are options out there, definitely.
Wicked, wicked. Right, what we'll move on to is because I know you're on limited time, Alex. So I want to try and get this little bit of the talk done. Your gaming history. So, Pete, if you want to go through yours, your first experience of video games, and what got you to where you are now, sort of thing, and then if it goes over to Alex.
Timeline might be a bit messed up because my memory's like pretty bad with that stuff, but like really early on, I had like some of the little Tiger handhelds and Sistema, is it? Or Sistema, you know, those little ones. I had a little race car one.
Yes, yeah, there was a football one, I think they did, yeah.
And I had one called, I think it was called Vampire Attack or something. But I had a Nintendo Game & Watch. I had the Donkey Kong, the orange one, the original one. And I loved it. Honestly, that was like, I must have been real young because it came out in, I think, 82. So I've got one here. Here we go. Yeah.
See, I've only got the Mario Brothers one. That's the one I had as a kid.
And it's a good game, Pete. It is.
It actually is. Yeah. It's. I thought because I sold all my stuff from childhood and I rebought it, and I thought it's a bit of nostalgia, you know, clouding my view of the game, but it is a good game. And that came out in 1982, and I was born in 1980. So when I got that, it probably wasn't for a couple of years. I would have been like 5 or something, but so pretty young. So I started young, I suppose. But my where I really kind of fell in love with gaming was with something Alex has got in the background there, the BBC Micro. And yeah, very kindly, actually, Alex sold me a BBC Micro a couple of years back, and
Starship Command. Have you played?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, also introduced me to that fantastic game. Oh. But we obviously, I think it's been discussed on this stream in the week that, you know, we had BBC Micros in school, and everyone talks about, we played Granny's Garden and everything, but we had what they called a wet room. I don't know if that was a common thing, but it was like where you put your paintings and all that shit to dry and all that, you know, when you're
yeah.
And so in the wet room we had a BBC Micro, and we used to play Strikers Run on it all the time and stuff like that. And yeah, we played the BBC, like, you know, the text adventures like Granny's Garden and all that, but we played some proper games. And I remember once actually we had this class where it was I don't know where they got the program, but it was like a program for race cars. And what you had to do is you had to type in, by changing the tires and changing the engine and everything, you tune your race car and the weight and everything. And then all the race cars from each team would race. And then like the next day we'd do another race, and you're like tuning your car and everything. I really remember that. I don't know if that was a game or if they got hold of this program from somewhere, but it was really fun. But yeah, very luckily, my mate Ali down the road, who was a few years older than me, had a BBC Micro at home because he had a brother who was 10 years older. So his brother had all this cool stuff. Like he had a wicked hi-fi system, like an 80s hi-fi system. Do you know what I mean? And we used to go around there and listen to his Talking Heads tapes and stuff. And we'd play BBC Micro. And I absolutely fell in love with the BBC Micro. Love it. He had so many games, and like proper 5-inch, you know, floppy disks. Just great memories of that time, and that's kind of the first system that I really loved. But growing up in the 80s, like we never had a computer at home. I never had any consoles. I had my handhelds and stuff, you know, my little LCD handhelds. But all my mates had, like, you know, someone would have a Speccy or an Amstrad or a C64. Guy down the road had a C64. It's funny because, like, recently I moved back to the town where I grew up. And when I drive home from work, when I drive past the houses, I'm like, so-and-so used to live there. He had a Spectrum. So-and-so used to live there. And I, you know, like the map of the town for me is like who had what 8-bit computer. It's so weird, right? And I had a guy over the road, my other mate Adam, who again was a couple of years older than me, but he had 2 older brothers, and nobody had an NES. Like, ask anyone in the UK, very few people know anyone who had an NES.
They didn't.
No. So Adam, one Christmas, him and his 2 brothers said to his parents, "Look, we'll pull all our Christmas presents, the 3 of us. We want a Nintendo." And their parents bought him the NES pack with the Zapper, with Duck Hunt and Mario and stuff. So then I was just around there, man, playing NES. constantly. Do you know what I mean? Duck Hunt, and they had like quite a decent sized house, so they had like a game playroom thing for the kids. So it was like proper our room for the Nintendo, and yeah, I mean, over the years he got like games that I really remember loving that he had. So they had like what's that volleyball game? I've got it here. What's that fucking volleyball game? My mind's gone blank, but he had Mega Man 2, like Double Dribble, stuff like that, like DuckTales. Someone in the comments tell me, what's that volleyball game?
I'm watching the comments now. If
Yeah, it's got a really long name. Hyper V-Ball or something.
That's it, V-Ball. Something V-Ball. Yeah. I know the one you meant.
Yeah, that one. I love that one.
Yeah.
And then I think I had a mate who had a Master System. But anyway, first thing that we got at home was one day, it wasn't Christmas, it wasn't a birthday, nothing. My dad just comes home one day and goes, I bought a computer to do work on. And he's got an Amiga 500 Plus under his arm. And I'm like, oh, shit. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, then I just basically lived at my dad's office desk. He never even used it. I don't even remember my dad using the Amiga for any work. And there was just constant games for me. And like Amiga is to this day my favorite gaming system of all time. And it was just such a massive jump. Like we've been playing Spectrum and C64 and all that. And then you jump to Amiga and it was like, wow. So the Amiga pack we got was V-Spike. Thank you very much. Yeah, V-Spike volleyball. Yeah,
V-Spike or something.
Super Spike V-Ball. That's it. Super. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, like the Amiga pack we got was the Screen Gems pack, and I did look up when it came out, and I think it was like on sale for quite a short time, and it was 90 and 91. So I would have been like 9 or 10 when we got that. And the pack, it was like Screen Gems, so it was all games based on films. So they were all dog shit. So like Back to the Future 2, Days of Thunder, Nightbreed, and then it also had Shadow of the Beast 2 in, which obviously isn't a film, but they wanted to pack in Shadow of the Beast 2 because it was like, look at this, you know, the Amiga can do this. And although Shadow of the Beast 2 isn't a great game, when you load that up and you get that intro screen where, if you guys have played it, where the big monster thing comes down on top of like a thatched cottage and it rips the roof off and it kidnaps the baby, and it's like, wow. And there's lightning and the music and everything. Oh my God. And like, absolutely incredible. And yeah, Monkey Island, one of my favorite games of all time. A lot of my all-time favorite games are from the Amiga because that was just an explosion of opportunities for me, because we could go on the playground and we could copy discs and everything and all that. And I'm sure people who had, you know, computers before that did all that. But like I said, this is my first gaming thing that we had at my house. I didn't have any consoles at this point. Eventually I got a Game Boy, and then I got a Mega Drive, and I got a Game Gear, and I got well into it. Do you know what I mean? Like getting stuff, and sort of PS1 era. I had a PS1 and N64 because everyone at my school either had one or the other, but we used to swap them for a few months. So like, I'll loan me your N64 and you can have my PlayStation. We'd do that for like 3 months and then we'd swap back or whatever. So people were like quite keen to swap consoles, and like some people were even swapping like SNESes and stuff and the older stuff. So that was quite cool. But yeah, I mean, that was like, it was Amiga that really like, you know, solidified me as a gamer forever, basically.
Awesome.
Wicked. I've never experienced an Amiga other than to own to sell, and I feel now, not before I was in the community, I didn't feel I missed out on something, whereas now I hear everyone's involvement in it, I feel like I missed out. But I think back then I wouldn't have wanted the Amiga after owning an Amstrad, because the Amstrad still felt like a computer, like more like a computer to me than a console to play games on. Although I only played games in it, I never used to like using the keyboards to play. Yeah. So I think if my parents had have offered me an Amiga, I'd have been like, no, I want a console with a joystick.
Well, funnily enough, like that was the good thing about when I had the Amiga, and then like because my birthday's quite near Christmas, so I was able to say like, oh, I want a Mega Drive or whatever, you know, the next year or something. So I had a Mega Drive and Amiga at the same time, but they got the same controller port, so I could just use my Mega Drive controllers on the Amiga and vice versa, and like use my joysticks on my Mega Drive, and that was pretty handy because, you know, money for peripherals is pretty slim on the ground when you're 10, 11 years old, isn't it? And like, you know, you're lucky to get one game a year or a couple of games a year. So yeah, that's pretty good.
To get them pirated, you mean?
Well, no, I'd buy games as well.
Yeah.
I mean, majority of games I pirated, of course, but I'm talking about like Mega Drive. You know, I'd ask for like a Mega Drive game for Christmas or whatever, and I'd get one game. You know, but I remember spending like pocket money. We had this shop up the road, and it was called the Soft Shop, and it just sold like, you know, computer games. No console games from memory, but I used to go up there with my pocket money sort of thing and buy like a budget game that was like, you know, £5 or under, or, you know, you end up coming away with some real shit games when you're when you're doing that. But it was, you know, it was different when you're that age. You make the most of games more than we do now because we're sport for choice.
Yeah.
I think even back then, if you had a shit game, you still played it, didn't you? Because that's all you had. That's all you had, and you almost convinced yourself it wasn't a shit game. No, this is really good. It's a brilliant game.
Well, you bought a lot of games based just on the artwork, didn't you, back then? Because I mean, you know, we didn't have YouTube back then. Even before all the magazines came out. You know,
you mean something beautiful like this, the video pack that shows you some army guys shooting on the front of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And then you look at the fucking artwork and you're like, that's fuck all like that. That's all.
A lot of the screenshots on Spectrum games were arcade screenshots, you know, so they never got done for that. They should have done, because that was total fucking bullshit.
Mis-selling.
Yeah.
I'm sure they had in the small print that the screenshots may vary from system to system or something like that.
Yeah.
Look at this box art. I just got this one the other day. It's a bit of it's a spoiler for my upcoming pickups, but this is actually an upgrade because I did pick this up recently. But look at this box art from on the Amiga. Look at that.
Oh, I love that game. You know,
I love this game so much.
Have you played the arcade version?
Do you know what? I played the arcade version at Arcade Club, but only like 3 years ago because I'd never seen the cab before.
Yeah, it's a rare cabinet, Pete.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I love the game. The music just takes me right back to being that age, and I played that hell of a lot on the Amiga, man. Love it.
Game. Yeah.
So we'll finish with the Amiga and the Mega Drive for you. So, Alex, what's your story in gaming? Like, you know, where did it start for you? Where did you get to? I don't like using the word obsession, but your love for arcade machines and stuff like that. So the whole story.
Yeah, I guess because I'm a little bit older than you guys. I am 49, so for me the arcades.
Happy birthday the other day, by the way. Happy birthday.
Thanks very much. For me, they're just an integral part of the hobby as the console games, because for me that's where it all started. For me, you know, that was the only way to play games as a kid. You know, you'd have to go down the arcade because we didn't have a console back then. I mean, I'm going back to 78, as far as I remember, going down to just the coast with my parents for a day trip and going to an arcade. Although a lot of the arcades back then were electrical, mechanical, so quite primitive for most people to play now, you know, but they were still interesting. But it wasn't really until Space Invaders come on the scene, and people just don't realise what a big influence and a big fucking impact that game made for children when it came out. Because we'd not only ever seen a video game like this, but we'd never seen a cabinet that was like this. I mean, it literally looked like an alien had just dropped it on planet Earth and go, "Yeah, I'll play that." And we were like, fucking hell, you know, this is incredible. It had that half mirror in it, so kids would peer over the control panel if you were tall enough, and there'd be a half mirror there, and it gave this depth. And kids would look, I remember kids would look around the back of the machine to see how do they do that? You know, it was not just the video game, it's the whole experience. So and the queue, because I remember they had it at my local swimming baths, and the queue to play the game was out the door, you know, and kids would queue up, put their 10p in, and get, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute of gameplay, and go, fucking hell, it was awesome, and then you jump straight back in the queue again. It was so amazing. And then as kids, we were really into, I was quite near Heathrow Airport, and we were really into plane spotting. So we'd go to Heathrow Airport and watch Concorde take off and land. And they had an arcade there at Heathrow Airport. We'd go in, and I remember some really old games like Night Driver. And I'm going back, guys. Night Driver, a really basic driving car game.
I'm just saving that question for later. We'll answer that in a sec. It's just I don't want to lose it in the comments.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I'll answer that question. Sheriff, I remember, although not in a Nintendo. We didn't really pay much attention to the artwork. Well, we did with Space Invaders, but I remember playing Sheriff, but I don't remember the cabinet. Just so many really cool games. And everything was so new then. It's hard to tell young kids like my son today how amazing it was when this whole thing. It's a bit. I'll tell you what I do when I tell my son. It's a bit like rock and roll. When rock and roll came out in the 60s, it was new. You know, there was nothing else before it, and there was nothing else after it. It was just so amazing to be part of that as a kid growing up. And then, of course, when the Sinclair Spectrum came out, I remember my mum's friend came over and her daughter had one, and I was just like, bloody, I want this. I remember I got one from Boots for Christmas, and a couple of the basic games that come with it. And that was it. My hobby, my interest in video games wasn't just in the arcade. It came into the home. And, you know, that's where my collecting starts. And I've been collecting since 1981. You know, I've always been a collector. I've come in and out the hobby. Like I've done other hobbies. You know, I used to do karate, I used to be into motorbikes and stuff, but the gaming hobby has always been there, although I have taken a step back from it when new genres come through, new consoles come through, and if it hasn't really caught me, then I'd leave it, you know, and move on to the next generation. But, man, the Sinclair Spectrum for me was a big influence, as well as the arcades. I had an arcade in Twickenham where I used to go, where I used to play Rescue, iRobot, Frogger, Kung Fu Master, Yi Kung Fu, all those classics. And so I guess that's why my collection is a mixture of arcades and console stuff, because the arcades for me just bring back that atmosphere, you know. And another thing I just wanted to say was, like, kids growing up in the 70s, it was all about space and cowboys, right? We watched stuff like Blake 7, Space 1999, and all the games that were coming out in the arcades were all influenced by either cowboys or space exploration. And for kids to play a game like Lunar Lander, where you actually control a fucking Apollo.
Ali, I'll just dive in there. I don't think a lot's changed. If you look at the games now out on the PS4, some of the best selling ones are still space orientated, or, you know, Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah,
Although there's been a lot in between, we're still back at those roots of what kids are into, or what young adults are into now.
Well, it's like we want to take control. We want escapism, don't we? We all want a bit of escapism, and the video games take you out of this fucking shit world and just let you escape for a little while. And everyone needs that, whether it be through video games or through film or for music, you know. And it just so happens that I love video games and music and film. I love it all, really, but I like collecting. There's so many different aspects to video gaming, and I've learnt that through doing the game room tours, that everyone comes at it at a different angle. You know, everyone's into their own thing, but at the end of the day, we're all into the same thing, if you know what I mean. And we've all got this passion for it, this escapism, and I think it's a fantastic hobby. And I absolutely love it. And I love, you know, I've never understand people that argue, oh, this system's better than that. I mean, they're all good. Every system's got at least a good 10 good games for it. Do you know what I mean? That I would love to play, you know. And I don't understand these people that just, you know, just say, oh, I'm not into Nintendo. I don't like that. I'm only into Sega. It's bullshit, man. If if I had the money and the space, I'd have it all. You know, I really would. Such a cool hobby.
A gamer's a gamer at the end of the day is the way I see it.
Yeah.
You all have our favourites, but you know, we, as you say, if we all had the money, we'd all have it all, every single item that is ever made. If we all had the money and the space.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just to finish off, I mean, when the arcades finished to me when Street Fighter came out, I did like the game, but I wasn't good at it, and I did see a younger generation coming in that were really good, and I actually felt awkward playing it because I wasn't that good. And it wasn't until the Super Nintendo came out, and that was their flagship game, and I actually enjoyed playing it in my own company, not with the intimidation of someone else in the arcade showing off his skills, if you know what I mean. I could practice them at home on a console, and for the first time, the consoles had caught up with the graphics and the technology that was in the arcade. And really, that was really the end of the arcade, really, when the 16-bit era came along, and that changed it for me. And by 91, I was a young man working, you know, Super Nintendo games, what was about 19, 20. They were expensive. Only ever remember having 4 or 5 at any given time. And if I wanted a new game, I had to trade in, get another one. But I loved the system. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. The Super Nintendo for me will always be my favorite console. They're just so playable today, the games, and they're very arcadey. You can just dip in, have a quick game, and then, you know, get on with shit. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I agree there. I just want to answer this question because Gurney did ask it a while ago, so I'll ask it to you both. Favorite arcade cab, 80s, 90s, and then one from the 2000s. So, Pete, if you want to go first.
What, one from each era?
One from each era.
Oh God, it's too hard, man. Like, I mean, 80s is quite easy for me because like, I mean, I did go to quite a lot of arcades, but I was very young. I remember when they opened a cinema up the road in Wickham, and it had 6 screens, and it was this big hoo-ha, and they had like an actual arcade. It was funny because it was like ram-packed, like Alex was saying about the side art and everything. Like, you couldn't see the side art in most of them because they're all like lined up together and everything. But the two I remember loving from that era is Double Dragon and Operation Wolf. I'd probably say Operation Wolf because, I mean, what a sight to behold for a kid. Do you know what I mean? The massive gun and yeah, it was incredible. I'd say Operation Wolf was my favorite. And then 90s, maybe Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, because that is still one of my favorite games. Played that a lot back in the day. I just loved that. I loved the side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Like, I really liked the Turtles and all that. But when you look back on them now, like, technically they're very poor. Whereas Cadillacs and Dinosaurs was Capcom. It was very, you know, it was a very good beat-em-up.
It's a fantastic game.
Yeah. And it I mean, you know, I was, 12 years old, and it's like dinosaurs, and I'm driving a Cadillac and then shooting dinosaurs and beating the shit out of people. I mean, you know, you're in heaven. Like, what a game.
I remember the short-lived cartoon. Well, it was probably ran longer in America, but it had a short period on time in the UK as well. I remember that cartoon being out.
Yeah, because it was based originally on a comic called Xenozoic Tales, which isn't as catchy as Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. But then they did a brief series, and then they reissued, I think, the comics under the name Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Interestingly, but yeah, that's definitely my 90s pick. And then 2000s. Do you know what? Like mid to late 90s, I used to go to the Namco arcade in Soho, like just off Piccadilly, all the time, and I think, you know, after that it tailed off. I'd be hard pressed to name a favorite game from the 2000s at the arcade. I don't think I could do it. Like, for me, arcades were well dead by then. I think that when I was going to the arcades, it was like play a bit of this, play a bit of that, but nothing really was like, wow, I want to play this, you know.
No, totally
Dylan's mentioned one of my favourites there, the arcade, the Aliens versus Predator arcade cab. I love that. I love Predator though as a child.
Yeah, but
that's great.
that was just a kit. It wasn't a dedicated cabinet. Do you know what I mean? It's one time you got to the 90s, you're into Jammer, where the dedicated arcade machines have had their era. So for me, you've got the 70s, where you've got a cross between electrical, mechanical games, and where the new technology of video games are kind of mixing together. Then you've got the classic era, which is what I like, which is the early 80s up to about 86, and then it finishes for me. Then you've got the 90s, which is Jammer. So the dedicated's really disappeared by the 90s. Well, you had the odd few, the big hydraulic card games and stuff like that, which I have no interest in. And then
Oh, we've lost him.
So am I still there?
You're still there, mate.
Someone's just trying to ring me.
How dare they interrupt
there,
my stream? Yeah, you're here now. You're here again now.
Me? Can you still hear me, guys?
Yeah. I can hear you, mate. Yeah.
Can you still hear me?
Hear ya. I can't hear you. I can hear you.
You guys.
We can hear you.
Let me drop him out and drop him back in.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, drop him out and in.
Can you hear me now?
I've disappeared.
Alex? I think he needs to drop out and in.
Hang on.
You hear me?
I can hear you, Alex. Can you hear me? I'll just send him. Click the link. So, Pete, if you can hold the fort a sec, just
yeah, I can. Like, can you hear us, Alex?
I still can't hear you guys.
Yeah, hang on. I'll just tell him to re-click the link.
Yeah, like, who was it you said about AVP? Was it Dylan? Like, Alien vs Predator, I love, but I never played back in the day, and never saw one back in the day. And like, for my 80s picks now, I'd definitely put Time Pilot really high up on my 80s picks, but I only played it a few years ago, first time, you know. So it's like, you got to think, what did you play actually back in the day? And then what have you discovered recently? Because I'm sure we've all discovered a lot more games from those eras now than we even knew existed back then, you know?
Yeah, what I would say, I think you could almost split the 90s in half, like an early 90s arcade and latest, because I think there was a massive change midway through, especially towards the end of the 90s.
I think as well, like when the PlayStation started getting successful in the games like Tekken and stuff, there was a big shift at the arcades to like 3D.
Sorry, guys, someone rang me.
No worries.
How dare they interrupt my stream? How dare they?
Yeah, sorry, guys. So, yeah, I mean, for me, as I say, like Street Fighter for me was like the end of it for me. You know, the classic era had come and gone. And then you get into the 90s, it all became Jammer, where, you know, operators could just change the board around and you got a new game. So Alien vs Predator was just a kit. Fantastic arcade game, don't get me wrong, I love it. But, you know, it wasn't a dedicated cabinet. And then when you get to the 2000s, I don't know, I think most people were playing on their at home with consoles, weren't they? You know?
The only stuff I really remember in the 2000s, and it might have been even late 90s, early 2000s, was the stuff you had on the Dreamcast, like your Virtual Tennis, Virtual Striker, your Sega games that were out on in the arcade were more popular then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there would have a lot of them would have been late 90s, like 99, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, for me, if I could scrap the 90s, the 2000s, put the 70s in there, 70s has got to be Space Invaders. 80s has got to be, I don't know, I mean, Space Harrier. I remember when that came out, that blew a lot of people away when that came out. That scaling that Sega did, and Outrun was quite a big thing in the arcade. I mean, I've never owned that cabinet, but they were quite big. They were massive in the arcade, absolute big hits in the arcade. And then the 90s, I don't know, it goes into Jammer, so it's difficult to say really. The 90s, what's my best arcade game? You know, I guess you could say Alien vs Predator or Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. But then a lot of those there's not going back to run, right, and fight games. You know, there's beat 'em up type games. I get bored of them now. You know, a lot of Neo Geo stuff I get bored of quite easily. You know, they're not high scoring games. You can go back to and beat your last high score. They were credit munchers. That's all they were. They were there to take money off the kids. You know, all the kids wanted to see the end of the level, so they just pumped loads of money in. And that's all those games are for me today. A lot of those run, write, and fight games, you know.
Especially the Konami ones. They're proper coin munchers, aren't they?
They are, yeah. They are.
Interesting you mentioned about the high scores. I was going to mention that there's the Facebook group that I know you're part of. You're probably one of the admin, where people are like doing runs and high scores on. High scores is a big thing in your side of the community, isn't it? Is there anything that personally you've got a high score on, or you're aiming to get a high score on?
I'd like to get 1 million on Robotron. I'm not far off it.
I've been watching you play that machine. You've streamed that a couple of times on that particular Facebook group, haven't you?
Man, that's a workout. Platinum Robotron, I tell you, it's you got to be in the right mood to play it. You really have, because it's so frantic, you know. But it's just finding a zone. You find a zone, you get into it, and yeah, just got to be in the right frame of mind. It's an absolutely unbelievable game. But then again, I like more calming games, more tactical games like Astra Blaster. I've fallen in love with fairly recently. I think that's a fantastic game. Yeah, I mean, you know, high scores. I mean, I could say I've got the world record on Sheriff, but then no one else owns the cabinet.
And you're not letting anyone else have a go soon?
No. I mean, I could be the world record holder on that if I posted it on Twin Galaxies, but I can't be bothered, you know. There's just no point. I mean, there's only 2 or 3 cabs known in the world, so what's the point? You know,
Billy Mitchell will only go and beat you. Billy Mitchell will only go and beat you anyway if he gets the chance.
Yeah, I mean, just personal best. I'm not the best gamer, you know, but I like today I was playing Wizard of War, and I beat my high score on that today, which I was chuffed with. So yeah, just personal bests really, you know, which I try and beat.
Nice. The other I'm not ignoring you, Pete. It's just I know I've got Alex for limited time, so I just want to make sure I get everything I wanted to ask Alex. UK VAC, talk to us a little bit about that, and obviously COVID's affected your meetup. So what's the plan with that? So if you just want to go over that.
Yeah, so the UK VAC meet is basically, you know, a bunch of collectors getting together. I mean, we normally have it at Arcade Club. But Arcade Club's got so big now, and when collectors get together, they like to, a bit like, you know, when you guys meet up at Revival, you like to swap and buy and sell stuff, and it's a bit difficult to do that at the Arcade Club. So I took it on myself to organise my own UK VAC meet at the local village hall, where all the collectors from UK VAC can just come along, bring their boards along, you know, bring them, swap and buy. And you know, bring an arcade machine along as well, and just, you know, it's for the community really. That's all it's for. And because of this COVID thing, I've just had to postpone it basically. I mean, it will still happen. We just don't know when. Like everything, right? I mean, could be hopefully autumn if we get out of this. If they find a vaccine, if not, it'll have to be next year. But it will still happen. But, you know, what can you do, guys? You know.
No, I mean, that's pretty much like what Craig Turner said, because he's running a smaller event and not relying on anywhere really. Yeah. If we get out this quick enough, he can guarantee revival will be on. So I'm assuming that's pretty much same as with the UK VAC meet.
Yeah, pretty much, mate. I mean, everyone's put their money in, and the event will go ahead. I mean, I think once we're out of this, everyone's going to want to get out and party and meet people, because you know how much we complain about people, right? Whenever we go somewhere, too many people. I think no one's going to be complaining after this shit is through. You know, I think everyone's going to want to get together and have a party. You know, and I think that's what we'll do with the UK VAC meet. Once all this is over, we're just going to have a big party, man, and just say we made it to the other side. You know.
It definitely sounds a plan, and it almost seems like I script this program, but I guarantee you I don't, because that moves me nicely on to asking Pete. Like, obviously, you were the main driving force behind the Arcade Club meet that was meant to have already happened. Was it 2 weeks ago now? Yeah. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So, you know, talk us. Like, obviously, I know Daz done it the year before, and I was going to come to this one. Do you reckon we can get another one after this, or what?
Yeah, of course we can. I mean, I mean, it was very much Daz's thing. I just know he wasn't keen on organising it this year, and no one else seemed keen, so I did it. But hopefully, someone else will take it on next time. But yeah, I will rearrange it hopefully later this year. But I'm not going to speculate with the. You've got to just see what happens. Like Alex said,
Yeah.
we can't even say a rough timeline yet. But as soon as it's sensible to rearrange, I'll rearrange it, and hopefully. Everyone who is going to come can come, and hopefully even more can come. So yeah, I'll be back on. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I know I was disappointed. I go as much for the alcohol as I do for the gaming, as we all know.
Well, like Alex said, it was the social for me, and like
Yeah.
Alex was saying, we're all going to be busting for a social after this. So
Yeah. And what a better place to have it, right? Arcade Club. What an amazing place. It really is.
I was going to ask you.
Have you been to Leeds yet, Pete?
That was going to be my first time because we arranged it for Leeds. Well, you were going to come, weren't you? Yeah, it was going to be in Leeds, but yeah, I haven't been yet.
Atmosphere.
Mm.
I still prefer Bury.
I was about to throw that out. There's some. I don't want to say dirty because it's not a dirty venue, but it's got that old-fashioned feel being in that factory, cold, horrible factory unit when you're walking around the corridor. The actual place where the arcades is horrible. That hallway is cold and miserable, and it just gives you an almost sort of feel going into somewhere of years gone by to play the arcade. Whereas the Leeds lit bit more clean cut.
It's how you remember the arcades, right?
Yeah,
bit dirty, bit grimy, bit seedy.
So I remember the first time I went to Arcade Club years ago when it was quite young, the original one. The original one at that venue, and I went in and they put us in the the lift with the
there was an Arcade Club before that one.
Yeah, that's why I said at that venue because I know that he moved there. So that was the first time I went when it had moved to the is it something mill?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've known Andy quite a while. I mean, I helped build all the walls in his first arcade. So I went up there, built all the walls for him. This was before the Bury arcade, and the community was quite big, but it was still quite a niche thing. But you could see new players, new people coming in with new visions of what should happen in the future. And there's been other forums other than UK VAC. We used to have Jammer Plus, which is now shut down, and UK VAC and Jammer Plus fell out of each other. There's a whole history there that goes back years between arcade people, arcade collectors, and then Andy come along with this vision of what he wanted to do, and no one believed he could do it, to be honest with you. It is amazing what he's achieved. Absolutely incredible. To keep all those machines going. And guys, it takes fucking a lot of work to keep those games going. I struggle all the time with what I've got, but to have people constantly bashing them, beating them and pulling them about,
I mean, what I've seen at Revival, man, there's always a couple of machines that not become casualties, but need little bits of work doing as the weekend goes on. What I wanted to ask you, Alex, do you have any inside information when the arcade club at Blackpool is going to be finished? Because he's opening one at Blackpool, isn't he? And I'm just thinking, worst case scenario, if we have to rearrange it, let's have a weekend in Blackpool if play's not up there, and we'll go to the arcade club in Blackpool. Might be a good shout because I like cars there.
I mean, for me, the arcade club at Bury's got everything I want to see. To be honest with you, Blackpool is a long way for me to go. I don't know. Yeah, unless he's got something really different there, I probably wouldn't make the journey. I've become a little bit. So I used to do all the events. I used to go to Nerg, which is up in Newcastle. Used to do Blackpool, Margate, and then after a while, you just see the same games, but just in different places. And you just think, hang on a minute, this is a lot of work, a lot of travelling going around just to play the same games, but in a different place. So, I like Bury. I think I'll always go to Bury once a year or twice a year. And Revival for me is a big event. I've always supported Revival. I love Craig and his team, what he does. And there's a lot of meets that go on as well. within collectors that keep you going through the year as well, which are quite nice. Very small meets at people's houses with their collections, which I quite like as well. I've got a little bit fun.
Cine Steve's
Yeah,
house.
yeah. Steve had a little meet up.
Have one, and Retro Dave will have one, and I'll have one when I get to my new place as well. You'll be all invited.
Quick question to you both: does Cine Steve let you touch his arcade cabs? Because I've been playing FIFA with him, and all I hear is telling his daughter to stay away from his cocktail cab.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good. He was one of my first game room tours, Steve, and his collection's grown a lot since then. It's amazing. Got an amazing collection. A really nice guy as well, top guy.
Oh, he's
really
absolute gold. Is Steve?
Yeah, he is. But guys,
what
listen.
I'll say about Steve, I like Steve a lot, but whenever I see him at an event, he's never stood still. He's always rushing to talk to someone else. He's always just passing.
He wants to know who's selling Amiga games. He's like, you ain't got any next.
Well, listen, guys, I'm going to have to love you and leave you.
No worries, Alex. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have enjoyed it. Again, it's fantastic. I think it's great what you're doing, Dana, for the community. People can get involved and chat, and it's great, mate. I love it. Pete, love the channel, mate. Keep it up, and thanks for everyone for watching and chatting. And
before you go, Alex, there's just one thing you've got to do. I've been getting every guest who comes on to send a message to everyone who's watching. So if you could just send some sort of message out to everyone, that would be great.
Yeah, just stay safe. And don't worry about if you can't get any games right now, because we're all in the same boat. I mean, there's so much stuff I want to buy, right? But it's not important. It really isn't. Enjoy the games you've got. Play the games you've got. Because that's what we're in it for in the first place, to play the games. So just play what you got and make the most of it. Just remember, like when you were a kid and you had that one game, right? Even though it was shit, just play it to the end. Okay?
Convince yourself it's good.
Yeah, that's it. All right.
Yeah, no, that's superb, Alex. And thank you very much for being on, man. It's massively appreciated.
Thanks for inviting me on. Cheers.
Good to see you, mate.
Thank you, mate. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Right, me and you will have some time to chat. We'll see how drunk Adisneakerfreak is before I let him on.
Yeah,
because I've been reading his comments, and the whole thing could go south if I let him in. Yeah,
it could do. It's a shame we didn't get onto Vectrex with Alex, isn't it?
I know. That would have been my next port of call. I'll hopefully get him on again. But we can talk some Vectrex if you want, Pete. Or
yeah, sure.
I mean, I'm hopefully getting your other UV light off you once all this tires down, because I'm hopefully using that. So when did you first fall in love with a Vectrex? Mine was from Revival.
I think mine was the Play Expo Manchester, because going back, I mean, I've done every Play Expo Manchester, so I don't know how many years they've been running, but it was long before I started YouTube. I used to go with my mates, and we just play games and have a laugh. And I saw that used to see these Vectrex things, and I kind of vaguely knew what they were, but not really. And just started playing them, and I was like, "Wow, I love this thing! It's really charming, and it's one of those things that's it's got that appeal that kind of draws you in, kind of like an arcade. It looks interesting, so you're like, okay, let's have a look at this." But a lot of people say to me, "But do you actually play your Vectrex?" And like, yeah, it is actually really fun to play, and as you know. Brilliant homebrew scene. I've only had a Vectrex for like probably 3 years, not long, but kind of always wanted one.
I'd say other than my PS4, it's my most used system at the moment.
Yeah, I use it a hell of a lot, like especially Vector Pilot. Just playing that all the time, man.
Well, Cyber Snake 7 gave me Clean Sweep, a game I ain't got, which is like a Pac-Man clone.
Awesome,
brilliant game, but. The thing
you're like a vacuum cleaner in it, aren't you?
Yeah, you're hooking up, and then you have to keep dropping them off. But the thing with the Vectrex, because it's all there, it's just one plug, everything's all there. You can turn it on.
No fucking around,
No getting all my wires out the cupboard, reaching around the back of my Bang & Olufsen. It's literally just one plug, turn it on, and it's ready to go. And okay, I'm not going to say it's the best graphically styled thing, but gameplay, it's superb. The movement and everything is so fluid. It's brilliant compared to other stuff of its age, which were probably visually better, if you want to say visually better. Because until like the new overlays and the UV and all that come in, they really brought the Vectrex into its own. Graphically, it can't compete, but gameplay-wise, there's not many systems that can touch it from that era, I don't think, personally.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know, the majority of the games you can pick up and suss out in about 30 seconds, and you're away, and then you're into the game. You know, there's no messing about, no learning controls, this, that, and the other.
No. As you say, there must be something in it because the amount of homebrews that are being produced, all the accessories, the joysticks that are being made, the overlays.
Yeah, I got this cool little joystick recently. It's actually plugged into the bloody Vectrex. Oh.
How tight are Vectrex fittings?
Yeah, I know they are, right? You seen these rad pads?
Yes, there was one at Revival. The guy who made them was at Revival, just gone. And I was inquiring. Yes. But what I will say about the guys who sell the stuff for the Vectrex, right, at Revival, they show you all these beautiful overlays. They show you all these beautiful controllers. And you go, oh, yeah, I'll buy one of them. Oh, you have to order it from us.
Yeah.
I'm like, why show me something when I could fucking buy it because I'm here, physical cash?
I know. I mean, with stuff like that, I mean, people will be lucky to get them even because, like, basically when he makes a run of those, he does really limited. That was £100, that controller, because he knows that he's only going to make like 10 of them and people will pay it. And I did and ah, and then I was thinking, well, you pay £100 for an original controller nowadays.
120 the last one went for on eBay.
Well, there you go. That's ridiculous. And that is a gorgeous controller. It looks like an original peripheral. That's how good well made it is, and it just plays beautifully, like really good.
The stream could be about to go south because I've just seen him chugging, but
okay.
Steve is here. Hello, Steve. Welcome back.
Hello. How are we all doing?
All right. I'm all right. How are you today, mate? You look very smiley.
I've just been enjoying the garden for most of the day, you know.
Nude sunbathing again.
Moon bathing, yes. Moon bathing, yes. To be fair, like I've been in isolation for weeks.
I won't lie, because me and Pete are in a WhatsApp group with Steve, and I'm worried for you, Steve. I'm not sure you're quite coping as well as the rest of us.
No, I'm coping better than you, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Mr. Pringle with you tonight.
Showing some cracks lately, Steve.
Well, no, Mr. Pringle is he's been consumed.
Has he? The box as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And the lid, a little plastic lid. Yeah.
So you've been hanging out in the comments. I wasn't sure whether to add you because I've been reading some of your comments.
You know me, mate. I'm always cheeky.
Fair play. So how are you coping with lockdown since the last time we spoke to you?
It's okay, but you know, you gotta make the best, the best of the situation, haven't you? At the end of the day, you know, when you've got a shitload of beer in the fridge and the sun's shining, then what's going to happen?
You'll get a burnt head if you don't wear that hat.
Well,
that's what happened.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what happened. But no, to be fair though, it's been okay. But I've been on lockdown since 3 weeks now because I came back from Berlin for a break. My business said you've got to, because you've been abroad, even though Germany is actually better than us, and they were back then as well. They said you've got to isolate at home, you've got to work from home for 14 days, for 2 weeks, and that was fair enough. And then things changed so much in the meantime. About a week later, our business said, actually, no, you're now furloughed for till the 1st of April, which is a month basically. So that's where I am right now. I'm furloughed till the 1st of April. And that
1st of
might,
May. 1st of
sorry,
May.
1st of May.
I'll be the
Sorry,
1st of May because we.
yeah. Sorry, yeah.
I was going to say, Steve, you're due back at work 10 days ago.
Oh well,
You know,
strong
Sat.
beer, strong beer. No, but yeah. So the 1st of May. Sorry. So it's 4 weeks to be furloughed. And it might, to be fair, it might go on another month, mightn't it? After that, we don't know. I mean, listen, if we're being stone cold serious, 1,000 people died basically in the UK in the last 24 hours. So it's not a fucking laughing matter in that sense. You know, it's quite sad. You know, I mean, I put a video up on my YouTube channel, didn't I, 2 days ago, because my mum works in NHS still, and she didn't know the Thursday night clap for NHS stuff. She put a nice little. She sent me a video on my phone. I thought it was that good and nice that I just put a random vid on my YouTube channel just to show it, because it's quite scary, to be fair. It's, you know, those guys on the front line, you know, serious shit in it.
Yeah. I'm definitely very thankful for the NHS at the moment. They're doing a job looking after my old girl in the hospital. So, as you say, without getting too dark on here, it could go on for a long while. But I think as long as we follow the rules, the majority of us are going to be okay, hopefully.
Well, as I said in the comments, I did say in the comments that these streams, I mean, you only just started really doing these, haven't you?
Yeah, well, this is the first one. I did one the night before when I was just testing out the stream, where I was just sat here talking bollocks on my own just to see if the whole system worked. And then I've just kind of ran with this, and it's gone to be what it is.
And, you know, it's been a bit of a godsend for, I'm sure a lot of people tune in. It's a bit of a nightly feature now, because, you know, obviously everyone's got box sets they can watch and all this, that, and the other. But it's nice to have a bit of interaction or familiar faces and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
it's been great. It's been really good.
Yeah.
You can find Pete Armour on a box set, Steve.
He's got his own box set, haven't you, Pete?
I have, yeah, but that's subscription only.
Is that fans only, is it, Pete?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll try and drag it back a little bit to gaming, and I want to bring it to you, Pete, because we all know I had my little bit of a rant when Woodlin was on the other day about the way YouTuber of the month's gone in the last year or so, if not longer. And you, as a previous host, I almost wish I'd asked Tootie as well, but it hadn't all really kicked off by then. But it seems to be getting worse as the months goes on. How do you feel how things have gone with that since you've handed it over?
Well, not well. I mean, I don't think it went well when I did it. I'll just put that out there. I think it all went very sort of downhill the year I did it. Maybe not through entirely my fault, but like I think I can pinpoint it to 1 month where it kind of all went tits up and this, that, and the other. And maybe I should have disqualified someone who won 1 month, but I won't go into that. But yeah, it all kind of went...
that's controversial.
Yeah, no, I think that there was a bit of foul play 1 month.
Right.
But because I couldn't prove it, I kind of let it go. But then in hindsight, I was like, fuck it, I don't need to fucking prove it. Just ban the guy. Like, I can do what I want. You know, like these guys are saying, I can do what I want. I host it, you know. Which I suppose in a way, you know, there's no one there to police this show. You can do what the fuck you want with it, I suppose.
What I would say is to not to do what you want because you're the host, to do what you want if you believe it's right, is what I would say.
For the better of the show. Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I think that you would have the backing of everyone watching, sort of thing.
Yeah. And you know what? Like when I hosted it, I was absolutely honoured to host it. And I very much felt like I was borrowing it. So I didn't feel like it was my show. I felt like, you know, this show's been running for years. Yeah. It's a lot older than me. I'm very much like the host for the year, and then it's going to move on.
Custodian.
Yeah, custodian. Exactly. Yeah, thanks. Like I think that was what Stu called himself when he was doing it, and that's kind of an apt moniker, really, for the host. Like you are looking after it for a year. You're the caretaker of the show for a year. So, but I didn't make any changes, and this is interesting because I did make one change, because I got interviewed the other night by a guy who is making a documentary on the history of the show.
Okay, wow.
And I won't say who he is.
Don't fucking tell him you know me, because I'm fucking controversial in that as it is, you know.
I won't say his channel name or anything because I don't know if he's put it out there that he's doing it. But he's an American guy, very nice guy that I've only just really met. And he interviewed me for a couple of hours, and he was saying about how do I feel about what's happening. And he asked me, did I make any changes? Initially, I said no, but I did make a change, and it was, you must have an on-screen presence rule. That was a rule that I put in. And it was because of this guy who won that I should have disqualified, was some dickhead who was just like, playing games and talking over games. And I was kind of trying to say, no, you can't just send me a video of you talking over a game. You've got to introduce your things on camera and everything. So I just put that rule in to make it clear.
That makes sense, that rule. That makes sense, I think.
Do you know what, Steve? It was an unwritten rule. Everybody knew that was a fucking rule. But it was only me that had to actually put it in writing because of this guy. And there was certain things that I had to put in writing because people just didn't understand what the show was about, basically. And that annoyed me. But yeah, when it passed to Russ after me, for reasons I don't know, he said it's for channels under 2,000 subs. And the only reason I think that may have come about, and this is guesswork, because I did mention it to Russ, like, where's this come from? And he said, oh, I don't know, I just thought it was 2,000. But I think that because obviously, let's say you win it for March and you're on 500 subs. By the time it gets to the end of the year and you're up for hosting, you could go up to 2,000.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That's sensible. That's a sensible.
Yeah,
thing,
but that could happen, right?
Yeah, but what I'd say is you won it with 500 subs, and then
that's what I'm saying.
It shouldn't matter anyway. If you then become the host,
well, no, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. And like when I hosted it, I had a lot more subs than when I won it. It doesn't mean I can't host. That's fine. But I think Russ got confused because during that period he went maybe over 2,000, and he thought, well, it must be 2,000. That's guesswork. Anyway,
I can understand that. I can understand the 2,000 based on if you just tick over 1,000 and you want that 1,020 or whatever, then I can understand. But what I can't understand is what it is now.
Well, So the year after Russ. Do You Nerd put it up to 3,000?
I don't understand that.
It should be 1,000 max. Like 1,000 is a lot. And I said it in the comments the other night. If you have 1,000 subs doing what we do, you are huge, and you do not need people getting shout outs. Look down in the comments how many really good channels are in the comments here who have like a couple of hundred subs who desperately need that exposure.
That's not the worst, is it, Pete? The worst is the new rule this month, and I've called them out in the comments actually.
Oh,
it's a bizarre rule. It's a bizarre.
We're about to get onto that, Steve. Calm yourself. Have another swig.
But yeah, it's way too high. Like, how many fucking channels have 3,000 subs doing what we do? Hardly any. No. Like, if you've got 1,000 subs, you've pretty much established yourself. It's for the small channels. That's what the show was always for. It's for, forget even who wins every month. It's that when I look at that video and I see 5 channels, hopefully there's a couple of channels, 2-3 channels that I've never seen. I subscribe and I find new people to watch. I find new people I can chat to. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of started doing those shout outs every year, like a yearly thing that I do, because that kind of gives me control to do proper small channels, which I feel that YouTube a month isn't doing anymore necessarily. I mean, it is some months, obviously, but it's just too willy-nilly. Like, if you have 200 subs and you come up against a 3,000 sub channel, what hope have you got?
A chance.
See, what I think it is, I think the current host and possibly the host before want to make it into where it's about higher production videos, a little bit false and all that. Whereas I think it was always set out for finding new people and putting new people out there. Because
hobbyist, yeah, I mean, I know Tootie always says they're all hobby channels, but I think maybe that's a valid, it's a valid sort of comparison these days because, as you say, that I mean, to be fair, do you nerd the ones before?
Yeah.
Game Off the Grid now. I think they're both really well presented channels. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I think they're a bit more not quite, but a bit MTV-ish.
Yeah, they're trying to be amateur TV rather than YouTube.
So the guy who interviewed me the other night, he asked me. He said, "How do you UK guys feel about how it's being run now?" And I just had a massive smile. And I said, look, don't take offense to this because you're American. But from a UK standpoint, it's all very MTV. I even use that phrase that Steve said, MTV. It's all very like, you know, fake and like I'm doing a personality. And I said, whereas the UK side, we're more of like, this is me. If you don't like it, get fucked sort of thing. You know, it's very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you nerd a lot? Like they're lovely people. They're really nice people. And like Russ's stuff isn't my cup of tea, but like Russ seemed like a nice enough guy. And I don't know these guys who host it now. So
I mean, it seemed okay. I mean, I've had a few DMs with them. And they seem like good guys, but it's just a different production ethos. You know what I mean?
I'll throw it out there, right? And I'll throw it out there. The only reason they want to host is because they thought they were going to get something out of it themselves. And to me, that's the wrong reason to do it. As the host, you should never, ever be the most important person in that video. It should always be about the nominees and the winner.
Well, do you know what? When I took on the hosting, I knew it would probably actually damage my channel. And it did. Like, every time I uploaded one, I'd straight away lose 20 subs. Bang. Like, nobody wanted to... like see that stuff apart from the people who like were community people and they wanted to come and watch it and vote and everything. And you know, fuck those 20 people who unsubscribed. I'd rather have those people who are community people and you know the people who were in it for the kind of reasons I started my channel. I'd rather have those people.
I actually said in the comments before, but I don't know if you read it. Right, my favorite videos that you make, right, or when you are like you are now, pieces to the camera.
Yeah.
Right, these are my pickups or whatever. Right. Yeah. I know they're not your view generators. Okay.
That doesn't matter.
They're not your toppers, if you know what I mean. But they're like the reason like most actually I would say the reason most of these people in the comments here sub to you is because of the face on camera style right now.
Do you know what? When I set up the camera and I've got the opportunity to do like a face on camera video, that's the most enjoyment I have. Yeah. Like if I've got a pile of pickups and I'm on the camera, that's like that's the stuff I enjoy doing most.
That's kind of what I was hinting at earlier when I said I can tell which videos you enjoy doing, and then I can see some. Look, I'm not, you know, I'm your mate, Pete. I'm not going to attack you, but I know you do certain things to get views, and I understand that, and I don't criticize you for that or anything. But I can tell a difference between those videos that you're doing for that and the ones when I see you on cam and I can see you're enjoying yourself.
Do you know what? I contrary to a lot of what people believe, I don't do stuff for views. I honestly don't. Like, if you look at some of my series that I do, like on a regular, they get fuck all views. Like that arcade exclusive series I'm doing, fuck all views, but it's like really good fun, and I'm like collabing with a load of people and everything. And I enjoy doing that stuff. Like I'll sit there and I'll do like 10 or 20 hours of like building the preparation for a video, and then I'll spend like another 10 or 20 hours making it. It'll take me like 40 hours.
Because that'll take you to do like a top of it. Although people think, yeah, that's an easy, that'll take you far more effort than to just sit in front of a camera, won't it? Because all the editing, all the screenshots, etc., then rather, that's more effort actually.
Yeah, like generally they take, like, I've tried to work out roughly how long they take, and I think they take about an hour for a minute. So if I do a 20-minute video, that'd be 20 hours. And if I do a 40-minute video, it's 40 hours, roughly. So like, it's like a lot of time, but I absolutely love doing that shit. Honestly, like I said earlier, like it became an addiction of like me doing that editing and everything and like trying to get better at editing. I love doing that stuff. So like, don't think I know like people think certain things about me.
Well, I think many people do, Pete.
No, I think some people do. Like some people think that I have like aspirations to be big time and like make a fortune out of doing this. But believe me, I fucking don't. Right?
You don't know you do this, so.
Yeah, I mean, I know who, like, you guys are my mates. I don't care if you say you don't like something I do or whatever. That's absolutely fine. You know, I'm not the kind of person to take stuff to heart. But believe me, I'm not going to like spend that long doing a video just in the hope that it's going to get views.
Exactly.
Like, imagine spending 40 hours doing something you don't want to be doing. No chance, man. Like, you know, that I don't have enough time to be doing that. So like, if I do a video that like people call a topper video or whatever, like a researched video, it's because I want to do it. Like, and I 100% mean that.
Some of them are great. I mean, I love the Amiga one. You done one or two Amiga ones. I thought that was amazing, the Amiga one you did. But I would just like to pick up on a couple of the comments that have come through here.
Is that the one with what I want to mention? Raz's one, because Gashead said we ought to have a UK YouTube of the month. Raz said Europe with only English speaking channels. So I don't know how that affects Raz because he can't fucking speak English anyway.
To be fair, I can't speak English. Can I, lads? Come on.
No, you slur it very well, though.
No, I completely disagree actually with both those comments, right? Because we should actually bring YouTube of the month back to the UK or back to Europe, if you like, or whether we shouldn't like make our own up because no, bring it back. Actually, the way it's going this year, we will bring it back.
I think we will.
Yeah, we don't need to make our own up. We will bring it back this year. That's what I think about that anyway. So
I think it needs to. And if it comes back, it needs to be put right. Is that I've said that on several times this chat since I've been doing.
I think
it needs a reset button pressing on it. Is what I think.
That's the plan. We'll bring it back to UK end of the year, whoever it be, someone who wants to do it, someone who's UK, and then we reset the rules.
Yeah, and what I then would put in the rules is if someone handed it over and I was handing it, say it was me and I handed it over to someone, I'd put it in there that these are the rules. They're never to be changed unless agreed under extreme circumstances.
Yeah.
You know,
supposed to have a top knot.
It's gone blonde as well. What I wanted to touch on though, Pete, is because I know Rob's in the comments going Aldino, and you brought in the on-screen presence. Now, my understanding is it was to stop these COD videos or gameplay videos where it's just someone talking over. What I class Rob doing, and even Wooly Weeble classes as an on-screen presence, although it's not a visual presence, it's a presence. That's my understanding.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just mean people who are fucking playing, like you said, COD, and they're just talking utter crap over it. It was just to weed out those channels. Like, Rob still has an on-screen presence. Like, you feel like you're there with him when he's doing his videos, he's doing pickups. Although you can't see him, he's still there.
His hands have more personality than he does.
Yeah.
He won't mind me saying that. He knows
I learned that in the toilet at the London Gaming Market.
Oh, really? Did you recognise those hairy hands?
I think that's a good way of putting it. I think rather than on-screen presence, maybe you should say your videos must, I don't know, transverse your personality or something like that, or must show your personality, or I don't know.
This is an interesting person because I know you know about this guy as well, Pete. Someone said, and no skip rat. I've highlighted the wrong comment there.
This guy's a fucking cunt. This guy.
Okay. I wasn't going to go that extreme, but while we're there, I'll just say he's probably one of those people who's showing how not to set up to start on YouTube. Would you agree?
Yeah, guy's a fucking prick, mate. If I ever fucking see him, I'll tell him that to his face. Say you're a fucking cunt, mate. Don't fucking mug me off on the fucking Facebook and Twitter, you dick. So this guy, I mean, I'm sure loads of people have had these messages. So he spams you with messages like, you know, look at my channel or whatever. Makes no effort. And if you go and look at his channel, I mean, he's managed to amass like 1,000 subs or something doing this, and he gets like 3 views.
Hey, I'm just going to stop you there, and might upset you a bit, but that is the main reason I don't like Slopes Games Room, because he used to do that to me all the time on Twitter and everything, spam me all the while. And then if he'd send a message, yes, when he first started his channel,
when you followed him,
and he'd send other messages out, like asking questions, like, "What's your favorite video?" Like a generated.
No, that was a generated thing. Yeah.
No, but even if you reply, it would then link you to one of his fucking videos to watch. Because I'm an idiot.
Would it?
Yeah. I replied and said I liked a certain franchise, like a dickhead, because I didn't recognise it was a computer generated. I thought, oh, this guy's really nice, man. He's interested. And then he sent me to this video. I watched the video and then left a comment about it. And if I went on my fucking Twitter now, even though I don't follow him, that message would still be there. He never fucking replied to me.
Yeah, that's a bit cold, isn't it?
Yeah. So but carry on about Skip Rap because
he messaged me on Twitter or Twitter or Facebook, one of them, and saying, "Look at my channel." So I look at it, right?
Because he messaged me on both Facebook, Twitter.
Well,
Instagram.
no, he did both, but I can't remember which one was first. So let's say it was Twitter first, right? So he messages me and he goes, check this out or whatever. So I have a look at it, and it's like it's gameplay, right? And I don't watch gameplay. Like, the only time I watch gameplay is if it's a live stream like this, because I want to chat to everyone in the comments. Like if it's Russ playing a game, I'll go and I'll chat to everyone in the comments. I don't really care what game they're playing because I'm just chatting to everyone. I'm chatting to Russ. Like, the game's not what I'm there for, but it's literally this guy playing a game. So I'm like, I said to him, I'm not really into gameplay, but cheers. And then he replies, why the fuck you got a Sega t-shirt on then? Because I've in my profile thing, I've got a Sega t-shirt on. Well, it's photoshopped. I wasn't really wearing a Sega t-shirt. I think I just put a Sega logo on a plain t-shirt. But
that's to be aggressive, then, is he?
Yeah, he got all funny.
You're not actually a cartoon person, Pete.
Yeah, exactly. That's not actually me, you mug. Right? So so he goes, why are you wearing a fucking Sega t-shirt then? So I reply saying you're a cunt, but he'd already blocked me, so my reply couldn't go through, right? So I'm like, no, I'm calling this guy a cunt. He then messaged me on Facebook. So then I reply saying, you know, you're a cunt. You've already fucking messaged me on Twitter. I already told you to do one, mate. Like, this is no way to build a fucking channel. Like, you're just alienating yourself from the community here. Like, nobody is going to want to deal with you after you're doing this shit, and you get all aggressive with people. And so he then just blocks me on Facebook, right? So then I go on Twitter and I put a post tagging him saying, this cunt just fucking did this, blah, 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 blah. And then all these comments come out of people who he's done it to. Like everyone agreeing that he's a twat.
I think I messaged you privately because I'd had dealings with him previous as well.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds like someone should nominate this fucker for YouTuber of the Month.
Well, there's a few people, right, in the comments who are newer channels who've also had not nice dealings with him, who we occasionally go and read his comments because he's one for blocking comments and stuff. But he's also got several burner accounts where he talks to himself in his comments.
Yeah.
To make himself look like he's got traffic.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing he's one of these guys who either does sub for sub on Twitter or he's paying for views. Not views, because he's got no fucking views. He's paying for subscribers. I get more fucking views on my Championship Manager fucking stream that's shit. And he fucking... he does on his fucking... He's got them Poundland lights. They're what pisses me off. Them fucking speaker lights that he's got. He's like got the most fucking vanilla. If you said, here, you're going to create a games room, it's the most fucking, yeah, you need to have that. You need to have that. Really fucking
personality, yeah.
Yeah, fucking hell. Definitely agree. So anyway, I'll move on from ranting about YouTube idiots and dickheads. I want to ask Pete what you've been playing, because I didn't get to that question because Alex kind of ran with that. What have you been playing while in lockdown? Much?
I've been playing. Do you know what? I haven't been playing much up here. Very little. I've been playing a little bit of Mega Drive, but I've been playing a lot of Switch mostly. So playing like Skyrim on the Switch, the original Doom games on the Switch. What else? Fuck, my memory's so bad. I was just playing it today and I can't even remember. I was playing Time Pilot on the Switch. That's great. So I've got the flip grip thing that flips the screen round. Yeah, just mostly Switch, but I have been playing a little bit of PS3 because I don't play online games. And during this lockdown, like all my mates have bought, a couple of my mates have PS3s because they're not really big gamers. They're still kind of last gen. And a couple of my other mates then bought PS3s. So I've been up in here playing some online PS3 with my mates because none of them have got PS4 or Switch. So
still good.
Well, go on, Steve. Go on. William's talking. Sorry, mate.
No, I'll just say still fun, isn't it? It doesn't matter what age the console is.
Yeah, still good fun.
Yeah.
As I was saying earlier, because obviously we've got that little FIFA team and we play a little bit of Call of Duty and stuff together, a few of us. It's weird how that we're all gamers and we never used to game together, but I think it is bringing people together more socially at home. Like, you know, there's, like you say, there's probably mates who you've never gamed with before. Now you're gaming with, having a good fun, having a good little bit of crack and a bit of laugh. It's almost, I don't want to say blitz spirit because it's nothing like the fucking blitz, you know what I mean? But because we're locked down, we're finding a way to deal and cope with it.
No, it's a blitz spirit is quite as a sort of spiritual kind of, it's the same kind of thing, isn't it? All sticking together. Everyone's more neighbourly.
Yeah,
I
walk in the shop now. Like, obviously, you don't walk past people, but they say hello. Whereas, like, I've probably walked past them 100 times since I've lived here, and we've never spoke. But because there's that, I don't know if it's that uncertainty. That might be the last time I see that person, or something like that. Not as savage as that, but you know what I mean. It's a little bit nicer in the world. You know what I mean?
The funniest thing I seen was that video that I think I put around on WhatsApp where it was like a merry tune, and this like girl went, "Oh, I'm going to make a nice sign for my neighbour," and she went, "Would you like anything? Let me know." Put it up, and then the elderly neighbour went, "Fuck off" in the window.
Talking about things like little. My missus found a site on Facebook last night. I don't know if it's karaoke during COVID or karaoke during Corona. But it's people doing live Facebook videos singing karaoke.
Nice.
And some of the fucking state of their houses are unreal. But like some of the comments are pretty fucking savage on there. So I know that's probably up both your streets. So I will find that. And it's definitely worth a watch.
Cheers.
Sounds horrendous.
So, Pete, my last question to you before we wind this up. Where would you like to go with your channel? Because I would like to see you go on and I know you're a success now, but I think you could go a little bit further with your channel. I do, Pete. You're obviously being very humble about it, but you know your channel is good. Steve's all right if you like fucking smelling trainers, but you know everyone to the fucking own.
Excuse me, I don't do badly, do I?
No, you do all right. There's actually someone else in the comments who was yesterday. I noticed he's added me on Instagram. A lad up north, he collects Adidas trainers as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he follows me, I think so.
So anyway, Pete's had a chance to think about his answer now.
What was the question?
Where would you like your channel
to go with my channel?
You know, that doesn't mean like how many subs or how many views you want. What sort of things would you like, you know, fucking hell, how do I want to put this to put out on your channel? You know, the videos, that sort of thing. What's the future for that sort of side of your channel?
Well, I don't know. I've got like quite a few series that I'm really enjoying doing. Just keep going with those, and just see what comes up. Like, you know, just whatever takes interest, I'll do. I mean, my only hope for it is that I just continue to enjoy doing it.
I know YouTube put a bit of a halter on something that you were starting to enjoy doing, and it's because I had the same issue when I started doing the streams that they weren't promoting. You were enjoying playing, let me just find it, Xeno Crisis, and I enjoyed those streams. I dropped in, they were probably,
yeah,
you know, I enjoyed
wicked
them.
game.
You're going to pick up Ed the fucking duck there, lad.
Yeah.
You see how many beers he's got fucking round him? I've been drinking too much today. That's more of a record than views, though, is the amount of beers I've drunk during this one. But yeah, you were starting to enjoy the streams, weren't you? And I think YouTube were like, not getting you the views and putting it out like they probably should have been, and it almost was affecting the channel kind of thing.
Well, it was more that I just noticed that since I started doing streams, like my views dropped, which may be like a coincidence. But a couple of people said to me, "Oh yeah, like if you stream it, like YouTube fucks you over for the algorithm, or whatever, and they don't promote your videos." So it was like they weren't promoting my other videos. And then I kind of went through this thing of, oh, should I start a second channel for the streams and everything? And then I thought, no, I want to do them on my channel, So I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to keep doing them on my channel. But I'm going to keep doing those. Like I really enjoy doing those.
That's good. They were good, they were. And again, I think that was somewhere where your personality shone doing that as well.
Oh, thanks.
But what I will say with YouTube, it does seem to completely, because like obviously I've found out since doing these streams, like I have to completely different side of the editing studio to find them. They don't even show up with my normal list. I have to go into a live setting, so it's almost as though they class them as a different entity. Now I don't know that's whether there's like because there's a completely different community that just do streams, like your Tonys who do panels, and whether they need to generate. Maybe we look at it like, oh, it's affecting our videos doing the algorithm that way, but imagine it would probably be the same the other way around. If you were solely a stream channel and then you wanted to do a video, it may have that same effect.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy doing them. That's going to trump any kind of bad effects, If I want to do it, I'll do it,
What I could say is, when you do start doing it again, if you could get in touch with Gus Newton, because I don't know if you know, he had some problems with his stream the other day.
Did he?
Yeah, he's worried about it. I mean, I know he uses a lot of emulation on his channel and stuff like that. So if you used original hardware, it'd be a bit better. I know he's not watching now because he's probably in bed with Frankie.
That's bandwidth on Russ's channel, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But no, I think mine went quite well. Like the first one I did, it had some teething problems because I kept forgetting to switch the camera thing back to me and everything. That was terrible. But even though it was terrible, it was still funny. But yeah, like, I mean, I've got an OSSC set up, which I like very rarely use because when I'm actually gaming in here, I do it on this B&O anyway. So it's nice to I've got all the gear here. I might as well do it, and we've got lights in here and everything. I might as well get some use out of it. So yeah, I did enjoy him. Russ's laptop. No. Oh yeah, Russ was messaging about
well, his stream
asking me for advice on Windows 7 and stuff because his computer's struggling.
His processor was up to, I don't know if it was 90, it was probably 80 or something like that. It was really fucking going hell for leather. Anyway, where's your cat gone, Steve? It was more enjoyable than you.
He's kicked out.
Woodland side of thing where we look at cat bums on the stream now.
God, yeah.
No. This is not this kind of stream, is it?
That'll be Tony's one if he's doing one later. We'll all go into.
Tony's in the room.
He was earlier.
Yeah.
He's not anymore. So anyway, guys, we're into the last 5 minutes. So I'll let Steve go first and send his message because it's the second time he sent it. And then if Pete could send one, that'd be great.
My message, what? Just to sign out with?
Yeah, to the people, Steve.
To the people. Well, I'd just like to say I'm just in it for the community. I mean, my channel really isn't even in this community, but I've got a big history in retro gaming. So what's going on there then?
Nothing of interest. They're taking the piss out of Russ.
Okay, it's funny. But anyway, so my channel's got nothing to do with retro gaming, but I was massively into it in the past. So I watched a lot of your channels or channels like yours, and I just thought, yeah, fuck it, I'll get involved just in the community side of things. So And that's why I'm here, really, and that's why I go to the events to meet you guys, have a few beers.
And you love a stream, don't you, Steve? You love a stream.
I love a stream, mate. Yeah.
New TNT might be coming back. That's
maybe. You know, I don't know. No one's fucking told me.
We'll let you know when we know. So, Pete, have you got a message for obviously everyone viewing and everyone here?
Yeah, I got a message. First message is go and like the video if you haven't already. Go and like his stream. We got to get this out there. Thanks for doing this, Dana, and thanks for having me on, man. Like, really, like, appreciate you having me on. You know, I'm honoured to be considered, like, you know, someone who's worthy of coming on and a community person. That's very, very flattering. And I just say to everybody, you know, keep supporting each other, keep supporting everyone. You know, big channels, small channels, whatever it is, we're all just people. And we need to, help each other out, get those small channels coming up, and just keep supporting each other. That would be my message, I guess.
I mean, this is good. This is what I think your channel has really taken a new direction, Dane, with what you're doing here. So, you know, I think you should be proud of what you're doing, really.
Thank you. It's more by luck than fucking judgment, I'll tell you that now.
It doesn't matter. It's the way it is. So.
You know, a lot of this more YouTube game is luck, mate.
Judgment. So. Have you both froze on me? Oh, Steve had. So, guys, thank you both for being on, man. I really appreciate you being on, and Alex as well, who was on earlier in the stream. So I'm just going to drop you backstage and say goodbye to everyone. So thanks again. So, everyone, thank you once again for watching. We've had 3 superb guests on tonight. Alex, Nintendo Arcade, who was with us for the first hour. Adisneakerfreak, Steve, who came in for the last hour. And, of course, Pete on a retro tip. I believe the stream has reached new heights tonight, because that's 8 beers I've drunk tonight. Oh, and we've had 40 viewers tonight as well, so that's the most we've had for a while. So thank you all for watching. I believe Kieran, Game Boys Are Awesomes, is doing a stream now. So I ask you all to go over there and raid his stream now. And all you've got to do is tell him Dane sent you. So take it easy, everyone. I'm having tomorrow off. I'll see you Monday.